Hi guys, this is Sugar.
This is Spice.
Welcome to the Sugar and Spice podcast. Today is our first video. We're just getting started here. We're going to kind of do as much as we can. We're in quarantine, obviously, so we're in two different locations. We have an iPad and laptop, and we're in the middle of the hallway, so we're going to work with what we have. So today we're pretty much just going to introduce ourselves. And then we came up with a few questions, so we're going to run through them just so you can get a good idea and a good insight on who we are and how we interact with each other.
Yeah, let's get it started.
If you couldn't work for 1 year, what would you do?
Well, you know this. I feel like our answers are going to align. I love traveling. I would travel. And honestly, I would focus on getting my own business started. I think a lot of times we try to start businesses while also working a full-time job. And that's to do. So I would, if I had a chance like that, I would travel. I would experience so many different things while also building up that future plan so I can work for myself. What about you?
I love that, especially like what you said about the business, because I definitely create my own excuses in times of like not creating a business, which we'll get more into later on in different podcasts on how we want to be business owners, but definitely working full time, we kind of make that excuse of not having enough time. So if we had a whole year off, we would get to it.
Exactly.
I would definitely travel too. I definitely love to travel. We've traveled a few times together, so we know we'd be traveling together. And then also doing doing mission trips. So kind of like putting some meaning behind all that time I'm spending away. But yeah.
You went to the DR before and did a mission trip, like kind of like a mission trip / study away, right? With MSU?
No, so I went to Guatemala with my dad, and it was through like it was through like a local church. And that was like early on in my travel experiences, so I hadn't gone so many places prior, but it was like crazy just to see how other people live and like how fortunate we are here, and just I don't know how their culture is like very loving. Like the kids just wanted to like hug you and play with you. That's all they wanted to do. And even though there was like kind of a language barrier, which I know some Spanish, but I can survive. But just that connection with the kids without even speaking to them thoroughly like you normally would be able to with someone in your own country, I don't know, it was life changing for sure. So I would do that for All right, next question here. If you could know the absolute truth about one question, what would it be?
Okay, see, we started this question off trying to ask it about each other, but we're pretty open. And we share things with each other that need to be shared. But then we opened it up to the vast world. Honestly, for me, like right now, I've been just binge watching a lot of like mafia things, and of course, death is just imminent in their world. And I've just been contemplating, like, to me, the way I see when somebody dies is like the lights in the house shut off, like forever. So it's just like what happens after death? Like, what is death and what happens after? What is there? I know like so many scholars and so many religions have a conceptual like image of what death is, but nobody ever told us. Like, nobody ever came back from the dead and like
There's no like absolute answer. That's the thing.
Right.
Like it's all based on how you believe and like what you've been taught. And like for you, you've been taught religion like since you've been a baby, right?
Exactly. And it's all like based on how good you did on earth, how like praiseworthy you were and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, okay, but what happens to all the bad people? They're still God's children too, and religion says God loves all and God forgives all. So it's just like, so what is life after death? What is it like? What about you? What's the question?
Well, kind of just to go off the religious thing, like my parents were not super into religion or anything like that, so I guess I just got a free mind on this one. So I don't know. Obviously, I believe in God and like a higher power and stuff, but I just don't know. I'm like so skeptical. That's the thing. Have you seen this show, The Good? Oh my God, what is it called? The Good Life or something?
Is it on Netflix?
Yes, it's on Netflix, and it's basically like when they die, they go The Good Place. The Good Place, that's what it is. It's called The Good Place, and it's like basically they die, and then they go to like the good place, right? And it's like crazy because they think it's heaven, and it all ends up being like some kind of research. I don't know. It's cool, and it's like funny too. But yeah. Let me see. What other one? You ever had a now or never moment? Like you gotta do this now or you'll never do it.
For me, like it was college. College was a huge like stepping stone for me, and it changed my life completely. I mean, like for sure there are times where I should have capitalized and like use my resources in college much more. Right. And we can go into that way deeper, like as a first generation student. But for me, going to college and taking that step was my now or never moment, and I'm so happy I took it.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say one that sticks in my head is like when first of all, me and Farah met in Argentina.
We did.
That was like a now or never moment for me, only because it was okay. So it was all about timing. That's not what it wasn't more like going because I love to travel, so there'd be no excuse for me not to go. But it was more of like timing for me. So like I had waited like 6 months for EK to get back from basic training. So it was like right when he came back, I just wanted to spend all that time, but I was presented with this opportunity to go to Argentina. Yeah. On what was it? A study abroad. It felt like a vacation for us, but it was
a vacation.
And so I was like, dang, should I go? Like he just got back, all this other stuff, and I feel like for sure it was a blessing that I went. But it was kind of like a now or never. Like if I don't go now, I'll probably never go to Argentina. And like if I stay back, I'll miss an amazing trip and an amazing new friend. So
yes. Yeah. Can you guys? We literally for our whole freshman year, we lived like a few floors away from each other. We probably bumped into each other all the time.
I know.
And we never met each other. We had to go on international waters to meet each other. This is meant to be, y'all.
It is, because we were in totally different places when we were freshmen. We were in, what was our Wonders? That's what it is. So any of my MSU people here, you know where Wonders is. We secretly met there.
Yes, we did. We didn't even know it. We had to go to a different country to meet.
Right, we did. Next question. What's a childish thing that you still do as an adult?
Well, for me, I'm pretty mature, but like I'm super childish as well. I love annoying people that I'm super close to. I start mimicking people. Like if I don't like what you're saying, or if I'm tired of just dealing with you or arguing with you, I'm just gonna start mimicking you. Like if you say shut up, I'm gonna shut up.
You do that. I've seen that like a couple times. I don't think it's done to me, but we don't ever like.
I know, like we literally are on the same mindset. I'm just like, this is a bad bitch chilling. I'm cool with I'm a bad bitch chilling. So. Whatever.
Exactly. I would say, for me, it would be if I don't get my way. I feel like a little kid saying this, but like, if I don't get my way, I'm so salty. And I don't know if it's like a controlling aspect. I don't feel like I'm super controlling, but kind of in certain ways. Like, you know, when you want something done. You want something
You're not controlling. You just like shit done, like
my way.
Let's get it done.
I feel like women can attest to that. Like, I definitely feel like if they don't get their
way, I know.
We can be a little like attitude. We can catch an attitude after. We can act a certain way. Especially in a relationship. Like, if I don't get my way, I'm gonna be like, okay, but like I'm gonna do something.
Like watch. Like watch what I'm gonna do.
Oh, we
bet.
All right, next question here. What is a movie that you watched recently that like completely changed your perspective or really impacted you?
Okay, you go.
Okay, so for me, recently, I don't even know when this was because it feels like so recent, but probably a few months ago, they came out with that documentary or docu-series on Netflix called When They See Us. And I had actually never heard of the story prior. But it was the Central Park 5. So that's what it was based on. And it was obviously a true story. If you haven't seen it, like you need to watch it. Like you just need to.
Amazing.
And it was, I think it was.
And devastating.
Yes, it was 4 episodes. They were really long, but it was 4 episodes. And it was just like, literally from the beginning to the end of the 4th episode, I was sobbing. I was literally crying the whole time. Because sometimes like, things go on in this world. And it's happens so often to where you kind of just like put it past you. Like it's not that, it's obviously still a big thing, but like it's not as new, It's not like something crazy out the water because it happens all the time. Right. Racism here in this world or just the justice system in general. So the whole docuseries was just like so sad. It felt so real and stuff like that. So that one really impacted me. I was like crying like a baby the whole time. What about you?
That doc, like, before I go with mine, that docu-series was literally heart-wrenching. Yeah. And it's not like an old tale, you know. It's not like this is a one and done deal. This happens in this country all the time to innocent little boys and little girls of color. Like, it makes no sense to me. And it's just like, the people who are in the wrong, there's no justice. Like, me and her were joking the other day, is literally an injustice system here. Like, it makes no sense. We're in the 21st century, we're in 2020, and we're still seeing grown Black men getting shot down for literally just jogging in a neighborhood or doing anything like that any other American can do, but they're fearing for their life and having to explain to their children why they can't go this way or that way. Like, what? But anyway, I digress. There's more time for topics such as that. But
definitely be a whole episode, a whole podcast on that one.
And I can go on for years. But something I mentioned it before, like, I've been in this like you know, mafia, like, underworld type thing during pandemic. I've been just binge watching.
Guys, she's a low.
I know. But anyways, I've been binge watching all these things on Pablo Escobar and the mafias and El Chapo and stuff. And yes, the lifestyle is what, like, you know, the whole story of that man, of this one lunatic, this one genius lunatic, whichever way you want to see it, like how he turned a whole era into a international drug problem. But it's not even that. Like, I even reflect onto it, like, to present day, and I'm just like all this power that we have, like the corruption in the government, the corruption in capitalism right now, what's happening is just like, you can see reflections of it from history. And it's so shocking to me that history it teaches us things, but it does not mean that people won't take the same steps and going the same directions and going through the same bullshit, but even worse, because now we have added violence through even more, like, guns, even more weapons that weren't even in existence before. And it goes to show, like, even back then, the people that were impacted by the most by the, you know, rich and the powerful fighting is the poor people. And you see it in a country like America now. Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. We're supposed to be one of the best countries in the world. We're supposed to be a first world country. Yet we have one of the highest rate of homelessness. Like, we have so much drug and gun violence, and it's the police perpetuating it. And it makes no sense. And it's the same things that you see in all these countries that are savages, but what's happening in our own
savages
country. Yeah,
it's called Narcos, though, right?
Yes. So I've been watching. So I watched the Narcos. Pablo Escobar was really good, but then I watched the Spanish version of it, where they took aspects of it from his son's books and his wife's books, like Pablo Escobar's, and every other aspect. Whereas, like, the Narcos version was literally the American version of how they went and saved everything. Which obviously the story doesn't go like that. America just loves to portray itself as like a white savior. But like, I watched
Is it called the same?
It's called Pablo Escobar. So, no, the other one is called Pablo Escobar, and the one that's, you know, American, like, you know, relatable, I guess, is Narcos. But Narcos, El Chapo, they don't have a Spanish version, or at least I didn't see one or didn't watch it. The Chapo one was crazy as hell too, guys. Like, these gangsters, they genius. Like,
they're smart. Like,
and honestly, what's the difference between them? Like literally, what's the difference between them and like super powerful people in this world? Not even this country. The super powerful people just have a title to their name.
It's all about the title. Next question. What 3 things would you change about this? I'm not even gonna say our. I'm gonna say this country.
I've been waiting for this. No, but I mean, there's so many things. There's so much wrong with this country, and I'm just gonna put it in a broad perspective. Disclaimer, obviously, I think there's so many other things wrong with the country, or like the world and humanity. But I think the biggest ones that I'm seeing, like, and that's prevalent in our society today, is the misrepresentation of things in the media, like, or the over glorification. I think that's one of my biggest irks right now, like seeing all this news, seeing all this different type of media, whether it be like, you know, superficial, quote unquote superficial, or like politics, whatever have you.
Well, we see it right now with the corona that we're living through.
Exactly.
We see how they manipulate the media with
the way they
virus.
manipulate exactly the way they manipulate the media. They don't like, I feel like like how the media influences other people is going over like the media's head. It's just like you're literally churning the brains of young people and the people that live in this country, and it's just coming out to be however the fuck you want it to be. And is that really
I think that's intentional. I don't think that
exactly
it's in their head. It's very intentional with how they want us to think, how they want us to act, and what they want us to believe.
That's like really crazy. And I think I also have a problem, and that of course goes hand in hand into like how people are so not unwilling to educate themselves, but it's so easy to just take any information, not do your own research. Like that's really an issue that needs to be addressed. It's like you might want to be a good person, but you're taking messages from every and anything that has no credibility, and then you're trying to like justify it. How are you trying to like, and not to like, you know, be specific or anything. Like, let's even talk about Trump supporters. Like half the shit that they say is a contradiction to what they say they believe, and it's just like, what are you saying, and why do you think this is okay to do, but you keep saying God said no? What would you change?
So I would say the justice system, or as we call it,
injustice system.
Exactly. I feel like that could even tie, like, because immediately I just think of racism and how that needs to just be a whole thing that needs to be deleted from this world. But like, I feel like when we start with the justice system, that's more realistic, and it'll kind of work its way into that too. So definitely that. What would be our third one?
I think like we could lump it up. Like for me, a lot of things like human right things are so messed up right now. Like it just makes no sense. Like you could look at things from Palestine to Africa, like the whole continent of Africa. There are countries that are of course thriving, but we still have people like in detrimental poverty. We can look at parts of India, Bangladesh, where I'm from. Like so much is going on. Like the homelessness in this world is just ridiculous to me. How do we have the people who are becoming trillionaires during the pandemic, and they're like, and this is supposed to be like, our country is supposed to be one of the best countries in this world, like self-proclaimed the best nation in the world, yet we have one of the highest rates of obesity and homelessness. Like it just does not make sense to me. Like how do we have veterans in this country who served this country, who literally went out and fucking fought for this country, and they come back and they don't have homes to live in, that we have to see them on the streets begging for money? Like that just never, I've never been able to conceptualize that.
They really give their life. They give their whole life for years.
Exactly. And like people want to say, oh, like they're crazy, or like they have pizza. Okay, and what do you expect them to do?
And they need to get help. That's the thing, is also they need to have just straight up access to anything to anything that they need afterwards. Like
whatsoever. Like these are like healthy young men. And most of them is young men, like healthy young men who are going out wars for old men, and then coming back being told, you're fucking crazy, we can't serve you, we don't tolerate that shit.
Yeah.
Like how you
that also kind of plays into like the whole mental health thing too. Like that's kind of something that but like within the last few years came a big thing. Like we need to start focusing more on mental health, and like children committing suicide and like having suicidal thoughts, all kinds of stuff. We could talk about mental health, and just even within cultures itself, and how that's just kind of like looked down upon to feel a certain way, or for men to even go get help with therapy. It's just like taking away their masculinity. It's just crazy. So that's a whole another episode too that we can
delve into it with some research sprinkled into that bitch too. Right.
And some facts just dropped on everybody. Okay, let me see here. Well, this works in perfectly. This question: what gets too much attention in the media?
Well, as you know, like me and her had this discussion just like prior to this, but I think one of the biggest things is American media. Like American media and like the type of influence we have on international waters and borders is just like crazy to me. And it's just like people glorify this lifestyle in America, but it's just all facade. Like social media has turned everything into a facade, and I just don't get it. I don't get why people promote and like hate on others if they're not like a 20-year-old millionaire. Like not everybody gets to the top like that, and like social media is making it seem like even my little sister, and my sister's 11, I'm 20, turning 23 next month, you know, like you see them growing up completely differently from how we grew up, you know. Media representation is so huge, and of course it's also about how the person perceives things, but little kids are so influential, and the media also knows that. It's very intentional. Like you said, everything has a message behind it, and to like have these messages in the media, from everything from politics, the way they represent politics, to the way they represent a female's body and what it's used for, is fucking like just fucking disgusting. And like it's become too much, and like the people who like advocate for this stuff, they get shut down. They get called like, oh, they're not even supporting it, like why do you have an opinion on it, it's their body, it's whatever. Like, but your image of something, your image of perfection is affecting a whole generation of people.
Yeah, I just feel like too, social media is just like one of those things where it's like it affects everyone so much, even if you don't realize it.
Exactly.
You start to like literally even judge yourself, like by looking at what you see on your timeline. Something I posted a few weeks ago, I think, was like, you have complete control over what you see. Like, believe it or not, you do. Like the way that the algorithm is, stuff, who you follow, who you unfollow, what you like all that kind of, like all those kinds of things. And it's just like, yes, I try to like think of it as in a good way. Like I kind of like flipped or like detoxed my social media at one point, because I was like following way too many fitness people and like models or like whatnot that look like so good, right? And I was just like getting to a negative mindset on myself and not looking or appearing that way. So I kind of just cleansed it by just like unfollowing, you know, obviously I love fitness, so I follow still some fitness people, but following more like, I found a couple who built a business by themselves. They're literally like 25, so our age, so I feel very like I can relate to them. They're super big on generational legacies. Like that's what I love to see. I follow like quotes, like the daily quote, like pages like that, that's like positive. And so it's so important, like what you said, what gets too much attention, but it's also like you're giving it that attention too. Like obviously we're manipulated, to like give certain things attention, especially things with like celebrities. Like who cares who? My goodness. Like
that's my biggest thing. I think it's like, and that's what I like, my biggest thing with the media, it's gotten so warped that that's what people care about. They care more about that than what's actually happening in their lives and what's actually happening with the world around them. And it just does not make sense to me. Like exactly what you said. You know me, like I cleanse my media. Like I only see what I want to see, and of course there's this occasional like superficial whatever, like I don't care, but for the most part I see what I want to see. But my I've always found it so appalling and so crazy that like people care more about what a celebrity ate in a day.
I know, or what, just like
or who has drama with who.
Yes.
Like, and it's not just like little teenage girls doing it. It's mostly grown women or grown men. Like what? Like just grown people. And I'm just like, what? Why? Like we have things we have to fix in the goddamn community. And how are you going to talk about this shit right now? Like there's celebrities up here who should not be celebrities. And that's not a shade to anything. That's just facts. Like, how are you even famous? Like, why did you even get famous? Is it because people laughed at you? Like, social media has so much power and it's so cool.
So powerful.
But like
in a good and a bad way.
See, in a good and bad way.
Yeah, I'm not even tripping on the people that I mean, there's some people that have gotten famous over some dumb stuff, but like, I'm not tripping. They do what they did and they're consistent. As long as they maintain it. See, my thing is, if I were to get famous off of something stupid, like a joke or like something like that, what I'm going to do is totally flip my image and use that to build an empire. I'm not about to be known as some like jokester or something like that, you know? So like, I'm not tripping on those kinds of things. It's just like, what we as people that are normal, like living a normal life, put our attention towards, like that's where it gets. Last and final question, we're down to the end of this, is what is a ridiculous goal that you have?
Well, I mean, like hinted at it plenty of times. I think the biggest goal for me is generational wealth, like generational, just like legacy, like bees, like huge thing. I just want to build something that I can extend out to my community and the people after me. That's huge for me. Like I come from like immigrant parents, and I want to be able to give back to my family. Like, you know, I want to be able to give back to the community that raised me, and also make sure that the people after me have access to things and resources that I never got. You know, like I have so much potential, I had so much potential, and if I had certain resources, if I had certain connections, or if I even knew how to do certain things a certain way, instead of learning it all by myself, I would have been able to be so much more prosperous, and I wouldn't be able to give that to like any generation after me. Like that's my huge goal. And then of course, like building this, like I love having conversations with different minded people. Perspective is so huge to me in like growing yourself and learning, and like B can advocate for this and I can advocate for her. Like we personally just love to learn and grow through experience. Like I absolutely love it, and I feel like this is gonna be a huge project for us. We've been talking about it since we met each other. Like
I know.
we love talking to each other, we love talking to other people, and I feel like we have the personalities that excuse me I feel like we have the personalities that literally bring out conversation in other people. Like I don't care for judgment. Like I mean, I obviously
energy,
have
like you can feel somebody's energy, like for sure. And I feel like yes, like even like more like I would say you, because you're more like you come off more strong, I feel like. But even that, you're just passionate. Like we're passionate people, so like we may come off strong or like super opinionated.
Yeah.
Like and like even just kind of with age, like I've kind of like sat back and like not judge initially like that, because I feel like when I was younger or like a couple years ago, if someone thought a certain way, I would be like, well, why do you think that way?
100%.
I feel like now we're definitely in a good time to where we're open to hear other opinions or other perspectives, whether that's like all kinds of topics, political, anything like that. So I feel like that also kind of like goes into the purpose of this podcast, and just like having a platform or having a space to where we can have those conversations. We really have the same ideas and beliefs, but we may not when we come up with a topic on here. So you may see us disagree and kind of like talk that out. We're definitely going to have some guests on here periodically, just putting in their opinions. I'm definitely trying to seek some more people that maybe don't think like us or see things the same way, so we can kind of get a different perspective. So we're not feeding you like what we just talked about with the media.
Exactly.
Like we're not feeding you one opinion on what we think is right. We want to give different perspectives and let you choose, you know, what you want to believe. So I feel like that just kind of goes into this whole podcast and why we're doing this. Also for fun, you know, we love doing this kind of thing, and just kind of like learning and growing. Like Far said, or like Spice said, we love to grow. Definitely mental development and just like personal development, stuff like that is just like huge. So we may learn things, and you know, we're not always on here with facts all the time 100%. It might just be our personal opinion or our beliefs. So we may say something that you don't agree with or what you don't believe, but that's our podcast and our space. So yeah, any last words that you want to say?
The only thing I want to say is I'm super excited. If you can't tell, I am a little bit expressive. I know this bitch is too. She's just a little bit goofy when she first starts off. But like, this is an amazing time. Like we want to hear from you guys as well. We want to like make sure conversation is flowing, and like we just want to hear thoughts, and we want to hear opinions on certain topics and see it from a different perspective. Like that's the whole purpose of this podcast. And we also want to share our thoughts. I mean, obviously so many people in the world have similar thoughts to us, so share yours and we'll share ours.
Yes, it's not all going to be about business. We'll have some juicy topics in there that we want to cover too, but we got to get down to business at the end of the day. But everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Sugar and Spice podcast. It's been a pleasure. This is our first video. Like I said, just bear with us. We're kind of working with this quarantine, but we had to start, you know.
We'll upgrade our lifestyle.
Yeah, we'll upgrade. We'll be in a better space. We'll actually be together. But in the meantime, everybody have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.